Before I talk about Clash in Italy, I really need to talk about what I watched Saturday night. AAA Noches de los Grandes. I mean, not, yes, there were title changes. It was I do watch AAA. I don't normally talk about it here because this is mainly focused on WWE main roster. Don't even have time to talk about NXT, which I don't watch that often. But I did watch this, but I'm mainly not going to talk about the whole show, just the main event. You've obviously heard about it. Hopefully you've watched it. It's probably a contender for my match of the year and my feud of the year if we're going to allow AAA matches to be included that aren't specifically WWE. It's, of course, the mask versus mask match. The original El Grande Americano, who was revealed to be, oh my God, Chad Gable, versus the real El Grande Americano, who I think we all know is Ludwig Kaiser, but that hasn't been officially revealed yet. The way this whole feud was done, it was such a classic wrestling feud, almost like an Attitude Era feud too, because they had it was almost like the Cody versus Roman, Cody finishing the story at WrestleMania 40 with all the different run-ins, all the different people from the past. Of course, we had the Rayo and Bravo Americano. We also had Julio and Bruto Credo Los Hermanos Americano. I can't remember what they're called, but Julius and Brutus Creed. But then we also had Pimpinella. That got a huge pop from the crowd, hitting the OG Grande over the head with a guitar. It was a no DQ match, obviously. Honestly, I'm going to stop right now. If you haven't seen it, go watch the match. Then you can hear my analysis of it. But yeah, we had El Grande's real girlfriend, who was barred, Andrea, who was barred, who was fired, but she came in, she bought a ticket, and it looked like a real ticket. I always think they should just show their phone because that's where tickets are these days anyways. But and we had the blind comedian who hit the OG El Grande with his stick. There was all that. That was great. That was great entertainment. I mean, it's entertaining. It's a show, and this was a total show, but it was also a really solid match, over 30 minutes long. They managed to both get color, to both bleed. I know they're both wearing masks, but no, I mean, the masks were pulled aside. They were ripping off the masks, so the masks didn't come fully off. Gable really was bloody. It was back and forth. There were such really nice moves, really crisp and clean, really good, really fun to watch. A lot of emotion, and eventually the real El Grande won with his finisher, and then OG was unmasked, and the crowd was so passionately behind the real El Grande and booing the OG El Grande. But when Gable pulled off his mask and said, "My name is Chad Gable," it said that in Spanish, they were cheering for Gable. They chanted, "Gable, Gable." They want him to come back, and they were really impressed with what they saw. I was impressed. The crowd was amazing. This was incredibly passionate. This was really a refreshing thing to see. That this is honestly one of my, like I said, potentially one of my favorite matches of the year, and it wasn't even WWE main roster. And it's kind of amazing that this feud and these two characters are not as over when they're presented on Raw, but when they're presented here in AAA with this kind of build, it's amazing. And what I find really amazing too is that this was originally a joke storyline. When Gable was doing it, he was sort of mocking luchadors, but then he got injured for real. Kaiser took over the role, and he went to AAA, and instead of mocking the luchadors, he started speaking fluent Spanish. It became a story about somebody an outsider who completely respects and loves Mexican and lucha culture versus an outsider who's mocking it. So it became Mexico versus the US, even though El Grande or Kaiser calls himself an American or a Mexican, but he's really German. But he even said being a Mexican isn't necessarily where you're born. And he's sort of an honorary true Mexican at this point, and he's one of the biggest stars in Mexico. The fact that they were able to get this out of what was essentially a joke storyline is nothing short of incredible. Now, all those people saying that like they should replace Triple H with The Undertaker as a booker, keep in mind that The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, has a much smaller roster and a much shorter show to fill, so you can focus in heavily on stuff when you have that kind of a setup. So there's so many things moving in the WWE main roster that I don't think it's fair to say that, but I do think The Undertaker or whoever else was booking this did an amazing job. I think both guys did an amazing job. This was passionate. This was beautiful. This was lucha. This was wrestling. And wow. So what did you think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown, wrestling opinion pieces, and WWE premium live event prediction and review videos. Now for my, everything, the review of Clash in Italy, the mask versus mask match, and even some thoughts on SmackDown. You can get that all in one audio podcast. Check out the link, and I'll be back with more. Until next time, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.